What's going on, family? It's Kaheem and JP back with the Cinema Goodness podcast. What's going on, JP?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited, ready to jump into season 4 of Stranger Things. We're almost to season 5.
Season 5, man. These weeks went by fast, man. Like these lives been real fun, man. And the fact that we didn't have to edit them makes the weeks go by even faster, man. I'm like, man, bro, we definitely got to keep this live thing going, though, man. I'm really excited about it, bro. But we here, like JP said, we talking about Stranger Things, man. The last few weeks we've been starting from the beginning all the way up until now, man. We've been talking about every season of Stranger Things. Been real fun, man. We just getting in preparation for the season finale, man. Like this is the last season of Stranger Things and season 5, and I'm excited to start talking about it, man. So much has happened. Many people have died. The Upside Down is now in Hawkins, bro, and it's getting crazy, man. Season 4, I forgot how crazy season 4 was, and a lot of the connections that they made through the whole series, man, it's been real dope, bro. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it, man. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. Let's get into this cinema goodness.
All right.
This is Kaheem.
And I'm JP.
And this is the Cinema Goodness Podcast, where we talk movies, all things related to Hollywood,
including your favorite genres and upcoming projects. Join us here for an unbiased and unfiltered discussion from our unique perspective.
So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. Let's get into the Cinema Goodness. All right, man. Let's get into this, man. Let's go on with the synopsis, bro.
All right, in Stranger Things, Season 4, the Hawkins group battles a new powerful monster named Vecna, who preys on trauma and is behind the recent killings in the town. Meanwhile, Eleven is in California and has to regain her powers to fight Vecna with the help of Dr. Owens and Dr. Brenner, while Joyce, Murray, and Hopper work to escape a Russian prison. The season culminates in a coordinated attack on Vecna, where the Hawkins group distracts him, Eddie sacrifices himself, and Max is saved from a killing blow by Kate Bush's running up that hill. Though the season ends with Vecna's victory as the gates open across Hawkins.
Man. Welcome to Hawkins, the only town where trauma is a group project, man. Everybody's dealing with the same trauma, bro.
And they keep having to go through it, so they are never going to get a break. Now, essentially, hell has been released on Earth in their town, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's jump in. And I hope y'all have been recapping with us and rewatching these seasons because it's been really good TV.
Yeah, for sure, bro. So, first episode, the Hellfire Club. Max is grappling with the death of her brother, Billy. Eddie Munson leads the Hellfire Club. Cheerleader Chrissy Cunningham, she's plagued by traumatic visions and is the victim of Vecna. Brutally killed at Eddie's trailer because she wants to actually do drugs and actually get her mind off of the trauma and the nightmares that she's having. So she goes to Eddie, who is this charismatic leader of this D&D club, and real dope character, man, that they introduced this year. Probably one of my favorite characters through the whole series, man. 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. He probably one of my favorite, man.
Wow. Okay.
From the impact that he had at the beginning, like when he first came, to his ultimate, his participation in the series, man. He's definitely one of my favorites, man. But we watched as Eddie witnesses Chrissy being snapped like a glow stick, man, from different parts of her body, bro. eyes popping out, blood coming from my eyes. Crazy. Crazy, man. And the
They
town
amped up
basketball
the
team.
horror.
Say that again.
I said they amped up the horror with the way Vecna kills.
Oh,
It's
man.
definitely it's horror for real.
Yeah, man. It was crazy. The sounds got crazier. The visuals got crazier, man. They took
Those
it up.
bone snappers, yeah.
Yeah, man. So the town has a basketball team. It's led by Chrissy's boyfriend, Jason, who ultimately comes to find out that his girl has been murdered. And everybody thinks it's Eddie Munson, the leader of the Hellfire Club. And they start the witch hunt, man. And that whole storyline was crazy, man. Just got us into the whole thing. Like, Eddie is now the villain of what people think he's the villain of this series. But they don't know, man. They have no idea. No idea.
This is what happens when you keep secrets.
Yeah.
See, they've been keeping secrets. All this crazy stuff has been happening 3 or more years now. And only a very small group of people know. Even the deputies that work with Hop don't know. So it's been so closely held that after things just keep happening, talking about the sheer trauma, but the town is just, gosh, they're going through it.
Yeah, man, going through it, man. And you're right. People keeping secrets that nobody really knows about the Upside Down except our core crew. And it comes back to bite them, man. You would think after the season 3 and the mall situation and the whole mind flare, like, people would see that. Like, somebody else would have to see this big monster tearing through this mall. Nobody saw it. And that's crazy to me. Like,
nobody that survived.
Yeah, I guess.
And see, here's the thing. They try their best they give us this story because, people are people. The town is cursed. Ever since Barb, because I think they go by Barb because Will came back. I think if Will had never, survived, they would have said ever since Will Byers went missing, this town has been cursed. But he was able to come back. But you hear characters in the background, you hear the news people talking about all these things that are happening, and you have conspiracy theories going on about the town being cursed and all of that, although our characters know the truth. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that more people should know, and it absolutely, I mean, at this point, by the time the end of season 4 comes, I'm really wondering how they're going to handle it. Because it's so big now, you can't avoid it, you can't ignore it. They already have a lie set up, so they're gonna keep going with the lie, like Martin said, keep the lie alive. So I mean, I don't know which way they're gonna go with that. It's gonna be interesting in season 5.
Yeah, for sure, man. So 11 doesn't have her powers at this point in the series. But we do find out that, she's moved to California with the Byers family, but she's also being bullied a lot. Real ugly people being mean to her, man. But that ends up blowing up in their face because at a roller rink, her bully Angela, in retaliation, 11 strikes Angela in the forehead with the skate. Cracking her shit.
Yeah,
man.
Broke that pretty nose. She deserved more.
Yeah, If she would have had the powers, the girl would have been dead. But
now, and see, then 11 would have been a villain. So it happened this way on purpose. Yeah, this is how it needed to happen because 11, I don't think at this point she knew how to not use her powers against regular people because she attempted to kill her with her powers, but she didn't have no powers. So.
She tried.
Yeah.
Joyce receives a mysterious package containing a porcelain doll from Russia. Inside, which is a note revealing Hopper is alive. A flashback reveals Hopper survived the explosion at Starcourt Mall and was captured by Russians. now is being held in a Russian camp.
Kamchatka. Yeah.
Kamchatka. Episode 2, Vecna's Curse. Eddie flees after Chrissy's murder. Dustin and Max find him and explain the upside down. Fred, a astute reporter with Nancy, becomes Vecna's second victim after experiencing visions triggered by guilt. The group concludes Vecna feeds on trauma, which was very clever, man. Very clever little hook in there, man. Chasing the trauma. Demons chasing
We've been
trauma.
talking about this. And you know, even though I've been doing only the one season in preparation for his show, so I don't mix it up. But we mentioned this in the previous episodes that the Mind Flayer he picks his victims based on trauma. So I think that it tracks that Vecna is, picking these people because of all this shared trauma that they have. But I want to make a point here. The kid that was the second victim, when he was having his hallucination, that is the scariest scene in the show for me so far. When that cop turned into like a monster, when he started talking to him in his mind.
It started growing on his face.
Oh my God, that was scary for real.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute now. We're getting a little too dark over here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was
switched. It switched. Like he was talking to them, and then he kind of like slipped in, like the trauma and all of that stuff. I was like, ooh, that was smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth. The police arrest 11 for assaulting Angela. Mike arrives in California to visit 11 and gets drawn into the situation. He watches his girlfriend actually assault this girl in the roller rink. And see, this is the thing about Mike I really don't like. Like when stuff happened with 11, he always, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with, like, this girl got kind of like issues and stuff, and you really don't know what's going on, and you just snapping at her like, what, are you crazy? Like, what's, like, I don't like that part about Mike. Like, he just immediately starts attacking 11, and I don't really appreciate that. Like how they kind of like whip that in there. But maybe that's just me.
Mike is kind of oblivious. He's kind of dumb. He's a kid. He's still very young, so he's not fully. I don't think he's really self-aware, and this becomes a part of the plot for season 4 because of how he can't admit how he feels about 11 and how important that is to her. And so, even in that, he's also completely oblivious of the issue with how Will feels as well. So he doesn't really understand, not even his own feelings, and especially outwardly towards other people. He doesn't really understand that. He's not perceptive enough to catch on to it. Because you see Will being very empathetic. Will is immediately understanding what Ella's going through. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so you see that, but you don't get that from Mike. Mike isn't there yet. His maturity, and men mature slower than women typically, but for him in particular, his maturity level is low, so he's not perceiving how other people feel anything.
Yeah, man. You're right. So we move to Russia. We see Hopper suffers from torture, and he plots his escape with the bribe guard Dimitri. Dimitri is a guard. He taking that money, man, but ends up blowing up in his face, man. I was rooting for him.
Yeah. There's no loyalty amongst thieves.
Yeah, man. Episode 3.
That's why you're in the lifestyle. You're always looking over your shoulder. You can't trust nobody.
Yeah. I guess they made to make sure like the Russians like kind of sneaky, man. They got a lot of sneaky stuff going on. We kind of saw that from season 3 too, with the secret labs and all of that stuff. So
and Starcourt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Episode 3: The Monster and the Superhero. Max discovers she's experiencing the same symptoms as Chrissy and Fred, and realizes she is Vecna's next target. Nancy and Robin visit Victor Krill in a mental institution, learning his family was supposedly killed by a demon in the 1950s. That was crazy. Also, I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time I realized that was Freddy Krueger who played Victor Creel. With his eyes sliced off, like stitched together.
Oh yeah,
that was a creepy scene too, man. They had a lot of creepy scenes in this series, bro. With the eyes like stitched together.
Yeah, because they did a reveal because he was turned, so that's almost like a jump scare because you're expecting him to be normal, and then he's turned around and his eyes are all gouged out and looked like there was like a little bit of flesh like sticking out of one of them. Oh, it was gross.
Then he found out that he did it to himself.
Exactly.
11 is intercepted by agents working for Dr. Sam Owens and taken to a secluded desert laboratory. Joyce and Murray traveled to Alaska to meet the contact, Yuri, who was supposed to be flying the plane. Yuri was a sneaky mode, man. I'm like, bro, like, just do the job and get the money, but he trying to do extra stuff. He trying to get money from the Americans, get money from the Russians. I'm like, bro, you doing too much, bro. He should have died.
Listen, anybody laugh that much, I don't trust him. He laughed too much. Mm-mm. That's a red flag. You're doing too much laughing, sir. No, some of this laughing is fake.
A lot of fast talking. Yep.
Yeah. Shiesty.
So Max visits. Oh, we're on episode 4. Dear Billy. Max visits Billy.
Hold on. Before we go to episode 4, episode 3. Let's talk about this before we get it, because the whole point of episode 3 was identifying the monster and the superhero, right? So we come to find out in episode 3 that it's not Dr. Owens that's going to be helping them. It is Dr. Brenner, who we thought was dead.
Yeah.
Right? So that was, man, I don't know. I actually had a question for you on this because it is so important. We all know that Elle getting her powers back is pivotal. There's no way to beat the Mind Flayer or Vecna without Elle having her powers. So since Dr. Brenner is the person who can help her to access and restore her powers, this guy is evil. He is manipulative. He has essentially abused Elle for most of her life. Could you stomach, if you knew that you had to achieve a goal as important as trying to save the world, could you stomach having to go back and work with that person, and not just work with them, but I mean hand in hand, literally, with the person who, you know, took away your mother, who destroyed your mother's life, who, you know, did all this terrible stuff to you? Could you work hand in hand with that person to try to achieve this goal or to restore your powers?
I'm petty, man. I don't know. I'm a petty individual, bro. Like if you can only do so much to me to where I'm like, I'll let it roll off my back. But if it's too much, bro, I don't see myself working it out. But I'm not in that position to really know like what's required and what I have to sacrifice. So it's possible I could get there, but the stakes would have to be life or death for me to even consider that. Other than that, I'm petty, bro. I ain't trying to fuck with nobody that did me wrong. So that's just me.
I'm with you on that. I think that because the stakes are so high with her, you know, knowing that there's danger in Hawkins again from the upside down, I think that's really her motivating her impetus to go through with it, because she ran initially. They had promised her, which were lies, and this is actually on Dr. Owens. He made up the lies because he said, you know, oh, it's voluntary. You only do it if you want to do it. But then when she decided to leave, they boxed her in, and you know, and kept her captive in there. So like she's back in prison again. And I think my biggest thing with Dr. Brennan is Dr. Brennan don't just want to work with Elle. the way he interacts with her, it's so
Controlling.
it feels like there's no consent.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just want to work with her. He has to grab her hand. He has to pick her up and hold her like a baby. I'm like, gosh, I hate this character. I understand that he has the expertise to help her get back to her powers, but at the same time, he needs to be punched in the face because what he's doing to Elle is kind of making her relive her trauma, and that's not cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, man. Moving on. Episode 4. Dear Billy. Max visits Billy's grave and gets trapped in Vecna's mind. Her friends play her favorite song, Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, breaking the trance and saving her. Dr. Orange reunites with Eleven and a supposedly deceased Dr. Martin Brenner, who has developed a machine called the Nina to help Eleven regain her powers by reliving her memories, her most traumatic memories at that. Most traumatic memories. So the scene where she's like, they taking her through like reliving her memories, and she's seeing all of those like dead people and stuff. I like that that they didn't immediately tell us that she was responsible or not, but they alluded to it like that she has something to do with it. I like that little caveat that they kind of left that string, until like the very end. And that's kind of hard to do, like when you're writing something that kind of like weave in the truth with the lie and kind of like keep the audience kind of like oblivious to what's going on until at the right moment. And I think they did that part really good, so we could go through that 11's journey. They kind of showed us, and then they let us walk through it with her, to reveal the truth. And I think that was smooth, man. How they wrote that. That was real dope.
I 100% agree. And because Elle had a memory block essentially on this, she believed that she was the one that killed all those children.
Right.
So because we're seeing it through her memory, which was flawed and only a partial memory, we also think, well, dang, we know that she's a hero, but is she the monster too? Because is she the one that killed all these kids? And y'all know, if y'all been watching these recaps, I got another movie. So I'm gonna ask you, Kaheem.
Okay.
You see Elle's memory. You go through the facility, and all of these little children have been killed. What movie is this from? You can give me the scene. You don't have to give me the name of the movie.
I don't got it. Let me tell you.
When Anakin killed all the younglings in Star Wars.
Okay.
When he gave in to the dark side, and the Emperor Palpatine told him to go and kill all the Jedi younglings, and he went in there and killed all them kids.
Okay.
That is exactly that's what the parallel that I made between the two movies, because it's essentially that's what happened. These are all kids that have powers. The little Jedi, these are Jedi kids that were killed by Anakin before he becomes, the ultimate evil in Star Wars, Darth Vader. But yeah, that's. I thought you were gonna get that one, man.
I thought I was. I didn't have it. I didn't have it. But now that you say it, yeah, you're right. Yep.
But yeah, okay. they were in their bag because they kept us in the dark, and for the most of this show, most of the time in this show, we are in the know. So we know more than the characters know, and it keeps you in it because you're like, dang, I wish they would see this. I wish they would see that. If they would talk about this, they would figure it out. But in this case, they fooled us because Elle had the block. They made sure we had the block. So when we finally get the fullness of what actually happened, then it's a very satisfying moment because we don't want Elle to be that murderer, even though we know Elle can kill.
Yeah,
but she's not a monster, and I was very relieved that it wasn't her.
Yeah, man. No doubt, no doubt. So back in Russia, Hopper's trying to escape this prison with Dmitri, the guard. You know, they trying to work out a deal. But Yuri betrays Joyce and Murray, drugging and kidnapping them, while also informing the prison guards about Hopper and Dimitri's escape attempt. It's cold-blooded, man. Cold-blooded. Cold-blooded.
He working every side against the middle.
Working every side, man. Working every side. Episode 5, The Nina Project. Kids realize that Vecna created a gate to the Upside Down each time he kills someone. The group, including Steve, Nancy, Robin, and Eddie, use a compass to find the gate at Lover's Lake, where Steve is pulled into the Upside Down. That scene was dope. I like that scene, man.
It was, because that when they all get into the Upside Down, that's when they have the first fight with the horde of the bats, with the Upside Down bats. That was
and
crazy.
it also kind of alludes to like Nancy and Steve still got some chemistry going on, man. Like Nancy
definitely
confused about her life, man, when it comes to like relationships, bro.
Well, you know what? And this is something that we this is a theme for this season. People being dishonest about how they really feel. Because if we go back for just a moment, Elle in California, she was lying her tail off. The main character who would tell people friends don't lie. Now, she lied. Everything was a lie. She was writing letters to Mike that were lies. And then pretended that girl was her friend, only for the girl to, and really for them to assault and humiliate her. But by the same token, Jonathan is in California. He's lying about he's supposed to be going to the same college as Nancy. But he's racked with guilt. He doesn't want her, if he doesn't get in, to come out and bum out with him in California. So he's lying. Yeah. And then you got Nancy. She's lying because she knows she won't be honest that there's definitely something going on between her and Jonathan that is not good. Right. And because she's not being honest about this separation that's happening between her and Jonathan, because neither one of them are being honest with each other, it opens the door because Steve is being more honest than all of them.
Right.
I've been saying it. Steve's arc in this show is chef's kiss. Because he's having moments with people being vulnerable, and that was not Steve.
Yeah, for sure.
So it opened the door, just like Hopper always wanted that door open 3 inches. That opened the door because now they're having to fight, they're having to protect each other, and she's seeing this Steve that is vulnerable, and she's realizing, hey, still might have something on the back burner for Steve.
Yeah, for sure.
Catch me in the right moment.
Yeah, no doubt. Sure. So back at the lab, repeatedly submerged into the Nina tank to access her memories of the Hawkins lab massacre. They're working, trying to get her powers back, all of this stuff, real dope scenes that was taking place there. Her struggling, they're trying to figure out what's going on, the blocks and all of that stuff. Dr. Brenner basically manipulating the whole thing. Dr. Owen's trying to look after 11, but he feels that, that they're pushing 11 too hard. So he's kind of like trying to be the barrier between Dr. Brenner and 11, which was really nice touch that they had with him. Because at first I'm like, man, he's just like a rollover, man. Like Dr. Brenner's just gonna roll over him. But he was holding his ground a lot with that, man. I like his character. It just kept him strong. I like that part.
And he was, I think, a big part of that was he was trying to make up for the fact that he lied to get Elle there.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that he wants the best for Elle, but he knows that he was dishonest with her. He did not tell her that Dr. Brennan was there because he knew that she wouldn't come if she knew that he was involved. So I think that he was trying to really make up for his wrongdoing with Elle by looking out for her as much as he absolutely could.
Great point. So in Russia, Yuri's trying to take Joyce and Murray to over to the Russians to the prison guards or whatever, and Murray kicks Yuri's ass, man, in the plane, causing his plane to crash, which was funny as hell, man. Like, he was just supposed to kind of like beat him down, make him land the plane, but he knocked him out, can't fly the plane, and they tried to figure it out, and they crashed. That whole scene was funny. Probably one of my favorite scenes from that episode.
That was probably one of my favorite team-ups.
Yeah.
Joyce and Murray, I have them down as my favorite team-up. I believe there's one other that's right there with them, but they're right up there because Murray is always funny. Every time he's on the screen, hilarious. So he don't know how to control it. He says to me, his arms are like fists, my hands are like daggers. So he's never fought anybody, so he don't know how to just do a little bit.
Kids at the dojo though, he fought the kids, man. And the little Timmy, he's very charming.
He was how old was Timmy? 14 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that, man. He's very formidable. That he said very formidable. Episode 6, The Dive. Nancy, Robin, and Eddie dive into the lake to save Steve from the demo bats in the Upside Down. The younger group, led by Dustin and Erica, great character Erica, realizes they can communicate between worlds through the light, which is something we saw. It's a parallel from the first season on, the Demogorgon and the Upside Down. They communicate with the lights and all of that stuff. So they kept that thread there. Real nice stuff. In a series of painful memories, 11 befriends an orderly in the lab who helps her remember the day of the massacre. That character, man, the orderly was a surprise for me the second time as much as it was the first time, man. I was just amazing. It was amazing how much they hid from us with the orderly. Like the story about, him like working with Dr. Brenner, working with number one. He mentioned that he worked with number one. He had so much potential, like all of that stuff kind of like fed into like this mask that they put up for season 4. And I was just like, man, like rewatching it was just so well written, bro. That they did a good job of like the underlays, man, undertones in the story, bro. It's real dope.
They had him hiding in plain sight.
Man.
Let me tell you, in the rewatch though, and this is a beautiful thing about rewatching, you catch things.
Yeah.
When you rewatch. So when they were first putting her into the sensory deprivation tank in the Nina capsule with the water, she didn't understand what was happening. She thought she was there for real. Yeah. So every time it restarted with him saying, "Hey, sleepyhead, we're just about to get started." Right. So she'd run out of the room. She'd go to another door, open the door. She's back in the rainbow room, and the guy, Henry is his name, the orderly. Oh, hey, sleepyhead, I see you decided to join us. We're going to start training in just a minute. Every time she runs out, she comes back, and you hear that again. By the time that happened like 3 times, I was like, okay, he's very important.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember at that point. I was thinking, okay, now is he Vecna? I'm almost certain he is. But those little details, man, that it enhances the experience because you realize they were telling you how important he was because every time they started the memory, he was the beginning of it.
Yeah. Yeah, very key stuff going on, man. So Hopper and Dimitri are thrown into a pit to fight a Demogorgon for the amusement of the Russians. Moving on, episode 7, The Massacre at Hawkins' Lab. Nancy discovers the Upside Down is frozen in time on the day Will disappeared. They realize they need to use the gate and Eddie's trailer to get back to the real world. Vecna traps Nancy in his mind and shows her his backstory. This one we found out. Dun, dun. 11 learns the orderly was Henry Krill, also known as Subject 1. He committed the massacre, and 11 defeated him, sending him to the Upside Down, where he became Vecna. So all of this stemmed from that initial massacre day. El created the gate, which created Vecna, which created the Upside Down. like all of that was just tied into one thing. That's why I like watching this over, bro. It was just mind blowing how well they wrote this thing, man, and like how it all kind of tied in to the same thing. And it was. No, you want to say something? Go ahead.
No. I wanted you to finish your point. Keep going.
No, that's something I appreciated the most out of this season, out of all season, like just how well it was written. Like you have the first 3 seasons are written well, but they're kind of linear. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything's linear, but this season 4, it like is linear, but it's also tying everything in, and it's like one big cause and effect. From Subject 1 to meeting Elle, getting her power, confidence in her powers to actually defeat him. Like, and then because of that, she ends up creating the whole thing that causes Hawkins to like go out of whack. Like it was just dope how they wrote that, man. I'm still blown about it. Go ahead, man.
Okay, so I'm with you. And this is something that I had to go back and make sure I had a good understanding about this, because this is going to be a big part of season 5 that we don't fully understand yet. We don't have all the details, but we have some of the details. So when, Vecna Henry 1 has his villain exposition moment, as many villains have done. He's telling not only Nancy, but we're reliving at the same time, how he manipulated essentially Elle to take his inhibitor chip that was in his neck out, which enabled him to access his full powers. Okay, with that being said, as a part of his explanation, and this is going to be important, when Elle defeats him, her force, her concentrated power is what created a gate into the Upside Down. So I think I was a little bit confused on this, because I was like, well, now, did Elle create the Upside Down? But Vecna explains that because, when he was pushed through the gate, you see lightning striking him and it's burning up his flesh, and he isn't fully looking like Vecna. He's still got some of his clothes on, but he explains that he's in this other place and he's got to learn about this place. You see Demogorgons walking around while he's when he first gets into the Upside Down. And then he encounters the Shadow, and the Shadow is up in the sky. So Elle creates the gate. She, because of using her power to thwart and defeat Henry Vecna the first time. Well, he wasn't Vecna yet. He was Henry and 1 at that moment, and pushes him through the gate. Everything he went through surviving in the Upside Down is what made him into Vecna.
Yeah.
So Elle is responsible for opening the gate, but she didn't create the Upside Down. The Upside Down is essentially
it had already
been
there.
Yeah, it's a mirror universe essentially. Okay, so she didn't create it; she just opened the door. And he even explains, once he started gathering his power, his goal was to try to figure out how to open another door. But she opened another door when she used her powers and focused her powers. So when she opened that door, that's when he started figuring out how to open doors himself, because he didn't have that power initially. Why am I saying all of this? That's important to understand, because the shadow power that's in the Upside Down is separate from Vecna. to my understanding. Now, I might be wrong, but the Shadow Monster, what we call the Mind Flayer, and Vecna, to my understanding, they are not the same thing. Because I think that the way they describe Vecna is like he's the number one general for the Mind Flayer. And so I think it's going to be really important to keep that straight, especially with how the beginning, there is a season 5 sneak peek that we're going to react to. Spoiler alert coming at the end of this video. So an understanding of that is going to be important, because I think defeating Vecna does not necessarily mean that the Mind Flayer is dead, because they are two separate things. Yeah. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? I think that's an important thing when we're recapping it to understand going into season 5.
Right. So the thing I agree with you on is the fact that the Upside Down was already there. Okay. L pushed Henry through the gate into the Upside Down. He saw the Demigorgons, right? And that shadow thing. He manipulated the shadow to become the Mind Flayer, I think. Because you can see him kind of like reaching through the shadow, and the shadow starts to form into the Mind Flayer. So he used his power to create the Mind Flayer, which kind of tied him to the Mind Flayer, tied him to the Demigorgon and the Upside Down. Like when he got pushed through that gate, it's kind of like how Will went through the gate and now he started connecting with the Mind Flayer. It's kind of like that. Like once Henry came through that gate, him and the Mind Flayer kind of became one. You know, and like it all kind of ties into like that hive mind mentality. Like once he came in contact with the Mind Flayer, all of it became Vecna, Mind Flayer, Demigorgon, all of that is like one now. So I think it's more like that.
You know what? This is why I'm looking forward to season 5. These are going to be long episodes. They're going to hit because they know it's the finale season. They're going to have to tie up these loose ends. Yeah. I don't know. I've been struggling with this ever since Vecna. When I started rewatching season 4, and I'm like, well, we've been dealing with the Mind Flayer, this dark monster, and then Vecna comes on the scene. Are they the same thing? Of course, you're right about it being a hive mind. They are all interconnected. I'm just wondering, are we going to get a surprise that if they defeat Vecna for real, is there still a more powerful sinister force above him? That's what I'm wondering.
That's true.
Because if Vecna is just a general, then that means there's somebody above him. I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting.
Now, while we're here, we gotta talk about this too, because I mentioned this a minute ago, and we haven't talked about it. We cannot let this recap go. I mentioned a minute ago, people were lying to themselves. Lucas, step on up, Lucas. Lucas.
What Lucas do, man?
What did he do? What? I mean, he did some good stuff, but man, Lucas made some terrible decisions in his desire to want to become cool and be with the in crowd, turning against his friends. I give him credit that once he saw where Jason was going, I mean, this predates MAGA as we know it, but Jason is in 2025. I was like, he should have a red cap on. I promise, because he's MAGA from everything I've seen. I mean, he's manipulating scripture to do violence against people. I mean, gosh.
Yeah. So the whole town meeting, that town hall meeting, man, I'm like, man, sit your ass down.
I'm thinking, first of all, from the very first episode, when we're introduced to the basketball team, And he's talking like he's a basketball coach. I'm like, where is the coach at?
Yeah.
Where's this player over here acting like he's the coach of the principal?
Right.
I remember pep rallies. The coach was gonna come out. You might have a player talk.
Yeah, man.
But okay, my point is Lucas. Lucas was making some terrible decisions, but he came home. Once he realized that he had made an egregious error in trying to go after being popular, he turned it around. I mean, where I was so disappointed in him is when the basketball team posse stated that they were going to start focusing on his friends, and they said Dustin Henderson, and they started looking for Dustin, and he didn't immediately say no and put an end to it. I was disappointed, but in that same moment he was like, okay, no, I can't do this to my friends. So he realized how far that they were going to take it, and that was the beginning of him making his split. Funny thing is, this is the same mistake that Nancy made in the first season. Nancy wanted to be cool, and this was back when Steve Harrington was a jerk, and his two dopey friends that we haven't seen anymore since the first couple of seasons. She wanted to be cool, and she made that same mistake. This whole series is about coming of age, and that's part of growing up. And so this is something that Lucas goes through. There's a lot of people in the fandom that do not like Lucas because of his decisions, but I firmly believe Lucas came strong at the end in changing and realizing his direction was completely wrong, and he was betraying his friends.
Yeah, man. I see what you're saying. I mean, he did have he had opportunities to go harder against Jason and the crew, but I think he kept it more reserved because I don't think he knew right off the bat where it was going until it got there. And then that's when he started trying to do like a little like sneak while they were talking, or like when they was off to like looking somewhere else, he'd run in Dustin room or whatever and be like, Dustin
got on the walkie.
Yeah. So like you said, he came strong at the end, but I do see what you mean. Like at the beginning, I'm like, what are you doing? But I think that's a good arc.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we're back on episode 7. Towards the end, Joyce and Murray successfully enter the prison and find Hopper battling the Demogorgon. At this point, Murray's Russian is phenomenal. Like the Russians can't tell he's not Russian at this point. Like he just talking, bro. Everybody thinking he Yuri. He sold it perfectly until the end.
Let me tell you, this was my funniest scene. Okay. Not Yuri, but Murray playing Yuri while he has Yuri tied up with his mouth bound up, and Yuri is going crazy trying to talk. That was hilarious. That whole scene. First of all, who breaks into a prison? People want to break out of a prison, that scene was hilarious. Him being Yuri was to me the funniest part of the whole season.
Episode 8, Pop-Up. After escaping Vecna's trance, Nancy relays Vecna's plans to the others. He needs 4 gates to break the barrier between the worlds. They formulate a plan to attack Vecna while Max acts as bait. Jason and the basketball team, now a violent mob, pursue Lucas and Max. After gaining her powers, 11 escapes the Nina lab with Mike, Will, and Jonathan, who had tracked her down. Brenner, mortally wounded by the military forces, begs 11 for her forgiveness. She does not give it to her. Hopper and Joyce reunite and escape the prison with Murray and Dimitri with a plan to destroy the mind flayer particles at the prison to weaken Vecna. So this episode is really important because 11 has a chance to kind of like absolve Dr. Brenner of his stance, basically, and she doesn't, right? That was real key because you thinking like, okay, 11, she's growing up, she understands like what he did was kind of to help her and save her, but she's going some, I'm not letting you off that easy, man. And I think that was real strong for her. That was real pivotal.
And I love that scene because he was manipulating all the way to the end. With his dying breath, he couldn't help himself. And narcissistic people convince themselves that they are not the problem. So I think that fit Dr. Brenner big time. Henry won. He really opened Elle's eyes to how Dr. Brenner was so manipulative. He essentially set up for her to get jumped by the kids. He set up for her to be the last one so that, she would embarrass that one, brolic kid with powers. And the whole situation was being manipulated by Dr. Brenner. And Henry was able to open her eyes to how he was essentially like a puppeteer, creating all of those scenarios where she was really just getting so beat down. And the cool thing I think about those scenes, they were showing her as we see her, but every time we saw a reflection, it was a reminder that when this happened to her, she was itty bitty. She was a little kid. We're seeing 15, 16-year-old Elle who looks like a young woman. But when all these kids are beating up on her and throwing her across the room and she's being manipulated by Dr. Brenner, she looked like she was like 7.
Yeah.
She's very, very young while these people are doing this horrible stuff to her. So I really love how they kept doing that because it was driving home the fact that this was happening to a kid, not a almost adult Elle. These memories are for when she was very little and experiencing all this abuse. So I agree that she should not have given him that satisfaction because that's what he wanted. He wanted her to agree and say that she understood what he had done.
Right.
Even if it was to, you can do something to achieve an end, but the means don't always justify the end. And I think that's what she was coming to. And that was important. That was important. That needed to happen. And I think he got exactly what he deserved. A terrible, horrible death that he won't be coming back from.
Yeah.
Because look at how many kids he stole from people. He literally stole Elle from her mother.
Right.
They told her mother that she had miscarried.
That's so devilish. That's devilish.
And at the same time, that's why when she saw Dr. Brenner, she was like, "Oh, heck no, get me out of here." This man literally stole me from my mama, then put electrodes on her head and made her go crazy.
Yeah.
Gave her forced electroshock treatment at the highest level so she can't even think straight. Destroyed her life. She's a vegetable just about. Man, that's no. Yeah, he got everything he deserved. He was a devil.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though he helped her get her powers back.
Yeah. But he didn't do that for her. He did that for the world. He wanted to be safe.
He didn't do it for the world. I think he did it for himself. Because Dr. Owens was concerned about the world. Mm-hmm. Dr. Brenner was concerned about achieving what he believed he could achieve through Elle. I don't think he was concerned about the world. I don't think he was at all.
Maybe right, man. Ooh, well, rest in peace, Dr. Brenner, or pieces, however you want to. That leads us to episode 9, the piggyback. The plan to kill Vecna is put into motion. Everybody knows about the hive mentality at this point and knows that everything's connected. Mac volunteers as bait, entering Vecna's mind while Steve, Nancy, and Robin go inside the upside-down version of the Krill house. Eddie distracts Demo Bats with the awesome metal solo, but is fatally wounded. 11 uses her makeshift sensory deprivation tank at the Surfer Boy Pizza Parlor to piggyback into Vecna's mind to save Max. Mike reaffirms his love to help 11 regain her strength and fight Vecna, which was a powerful scene. Love that scene. He finally admits that he loves her and gives 11 the strength to fight on. Hopper, Joyce, and Murray. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a couple of real powerful scenes in that section of the recap.
Mhm.
So, you know, Eddie's sacrifice and Dustin had become so close to him. That was really powerful. With Dustin, you know, although he looked up to Steve in a big way, he had another opportunity to have a father figure. And I want you to note, of all of the kids, even of Elle, Dustin did not have a father figure. He's the only one.
You right.
He only had his mom.
You
So
right.
his connection with Steve and then the connection with Eddie are even more important because he does not have a father figure at all. He just has his mom. And, you know, so that is a super important thing for a boy to have a male figure to look up to. That was crushing. I was hoping Eddie would survive. I, you know, didn't remember from the previous watching. So his sacrifice was huge. It was a tough point. I was really hoping they'd save him, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, man, that definitely was a you got that knot in your throat. Yeah, I definitely had that little knot, man. Cause like I said, man, he was one of those surprising characters where you didn't know how dope he was until he had an opportunity to be dope. It was like, man, I like this guy's energy. Even like early in the season when he was talking to Chrissy, you know, and like he's like whimsical and quirky and eccentric. You know, he got that. But you know what also is? I looked at the guy like, man, I know him from somewhere. I couldn't remember until I saw Fantastic Four trailer again. I was like, oh, that's Johnny. I was like, man, you did a good job, bro. He's real talented, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, that was a very sad scene, man. And Dustin, he sold it. His part in it was great.
He was crushed.
Yeah, he was crushed, bro. Yeah, man.
What did you think about this multi-state attack, where everyone is attacking from a different location? That's really a creative way, and knowing how the hive mind works, that everyone is working together, but not even realizing that they are working together.
Yeah.
Because although Elle is able to see the other people, they don't know that she's working on their behalf.
Yeah. Yeah, it was dope. I liked how they wrote that. Like everybody had a part to play. Everybody was a hero. Everybody had something to do to, you know, finally defeat the big bad that, you know, that everybody was trying to defeat. And not knowing that everybody's part was essential, because if they didn't do it, they may not have been successful. You know what I'm saying? I think that was dope. That was real dope. So Hopper, Joyce, and Murray successfully destroyed the Demigorgons and Mind Flayer particles in the Russian prison, weakening Vecna. Though Vecna is injured, he manages to wound Max so severely that she briefly dies. 11 brings her back, but the brief moment of death is enough to open the fourth gate. Giant rifts tear through Hawkins, merging the town with the Upside Down. Max survives, but remains in a coma while Vecna escapes. The season ends with heroes preparing for the final battle as the Upside Down invades Hawkins. Have you seen that? Crazy ripping through the dam. Everybody think it was an earthquake, but this is what I'm saying. It's so oblivious. Like, you think an earthquake going like crack and do all of that? Like, it's got to be something bigger. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be. And people just so oblivious. They don't want to accept the truth. And yeah, man, they got their hands. They got their work cut out for season 5. It's about to be crazy.
Well, let me tell you, it was unfortunate when that grandfather clock tolled 4 times when Max briefly died. That's all they took. Elle was able to bring her back. Elle was able to prevent her from having the full Vecna treatment, eyeballs pop, all legs, all limbs broken. She was able to prevent that and bring her back. We're going to see what the consequences of that are. But that foretold means that what Vecna needed, he got. Even if it were only for a moment, he got enough to open all the gates and rip open the town. It's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about as it pertains to this, because the show has actually retconned something from early in the season, and I didn't realize it until I was rewatching. And not early in the season, early in the series. We all know when you're in the Upside Down, you start seeing the little particles. They look like ash, maybe, that are falling, and they've been, mistaken for snow a few times. We see at the end of season 4 that the storm, the dark presence in the sky, and the ash particles start falling in Hawkins in the real world. Now, I want you to think back for a moment. When we were first introduced to the Upside Down, all of that was toxic to people. They had to have masks on. If you remember, when Hopper first went into the Upside Down, he was so overcome with the toxicity of the Upside Down that he ended up passing out.
Right.
So the show has quietly retconned that, because much of season 4, half of our main cast is in the Upside Down. There are no masks. Nobody's getting sick from it. Nobody's having breathing problems. They're literally biking miles, breathing in the Upside Down, and no one is getting sick. So they definitely retconned that, I guess, once they had a plan for where this was going to go. Because if you're going to put people in the Upside Down, you can't continuously make the Upside Down poisonous to them, because it's going to defeat, being able to actually go into that world for very long. So this is a retcon, most definitely, because it has to be. If the Upside Down made Hopper so sick that he passed out, but now we got people running through the Upside Down with no ill effects, they've changed the world a little bit. And I don't ding them for that, because when you're writing something like this that doesn't come from like an established book, you have to establish your lore, whatever your world building is. And sometimes you've written yourself into a corner. I think making the atmosphere of the Upside Down toxic wrote them into a corner, and they had to change it. So I don't know if you noticed it. I noticed it. Did you catch that? So hopefully you did catch it while you were watching. All right. Did you catch that, Kahim?
Say the last part again.
I was saying, did you catch the retcon of the
how potent? Yeah, the toxicity. I did. Now that you say it, it brought that to my attention. I was like, yeah, because I was wondering, because he did pass out, right? Will, like when they saved Will, they had their whole mask on. The whole
he was completely poisoned. He was really struggling because of being in the Upside Down. But they changed that.
Yeah, that's smooth. Good point out.
I think sometimes that happens. I know sometimes as a viewer, you hate when little things like that happen. If you pay attention to details, it doesn't ruin anything for me, because when you write, sometimes you have to be thinking about this. If you know that you want your story to go somewhere, you have to make a way for it to get there. So I think that's why that subtle change was made.
Yeah, I think because the Upside Down is making its way into Hawkins, you start to see was it like snow or like ash? The snow and stuff like so it's becoming more and more a part of Hawkins. I just don't know how it's going to affect like the air levels and all of that. I'm thinking we're going to see that, in season 5.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, because when Hopper was down in those tunnels, they were like glands that were like spewing out the stuff, that makes the upside down, and it was very toxic at that point. So, and then at the end of season 4, when the gates open, you see where like all of the green stuff on the ground, where the gates have opened, is like just rotting, just turning black.
Yeah.
And then you see like a clear divide where there's like green grass and flowers, and then like the dead stuff, just like the pumpkins in the pumpkin patch when the upside down was spreading into Hawkins. So it's going to be very interesting how season 5 works out. I'm excited.
Nice. We got a comment from Mr. Vicky.
Okay.
Say hello.
Hello.
Thanks for watching.
Hello from the upside down.
Yeah, man. Thanks for watching. All right, I got a question for you.
Okay.
All right. Living in Hawkins in season 4, who would you rather be? Eddie shredding in the upside down, Argyle making questionable pieces, Nancy leading the investigation, or Max blasting Kate Bush to stay alive?
Definitely Nancy leading the investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely Nancy. She is her character is very, very strong. So I love it when she's like, I have guns in my house.
She was ready.
And the guys were like, you have guns in your house? She's like, yeah, I got a shotgun. And I got a. I'm like, you go, Nancy.
Yeah. I'll be Eddie, man.
Okay.
Eddie jamming. Eddie was jamming, man. He's trying to be the distraction and ultimately becoming a hero, man. They had a lot of heroes in this season, man, and Eddie was one of them, sure.
Okay, now I have a question for you.
Okay.
And it pertains to these new characters. So, the characters of Eddie, Jason, and Argyle. Were those characters required to make the plot work for season 4? And if I were to rephrase the question, could they have achieved what season 4 achieved without those characters?
I don't think so. So I think they needed Eddie to keep the story because they needed a villain. So, they needed somebody. They needed like a scapegoat until they could reveal Vecna to the audience, right? So
Okay.
I think that's kind of what Eddie was. He was more so like a vehicle to keep the story, to keep the audience kind of like not sure about what's going on. Not the audience, but the people of Hawkins, because we knew. But the people of Hawkins, they needed a scapegoat to kind of like push the story along. So Argyle, he could have not been there, but because they needed some place to put the deprivation tank, and he would know to use the freezer, the tub to make a tank, and where they would get all the salt and stuff from to make the tank. I think that's kind of like was his purpose, and he was more so like a comedy relief.
Definitely.
Keep Jonathan's story kind of like entertaining because he needed somebody to bounce off of. Argyle.
Yeah, because Jonathan was the sad sack the whole season.
Yeah, he was kind of sulking the whole time. So he needed somebody to bounce off of.
Okay.
So, those was the two. You mentioned somebody else. Did you mention somebody else?
Jason,
the
basketball player.
could have did without Jason. Honest, I could have did without him. The whole lynch mob thing made sense, but I don't know if it was really necessary. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that. What you think?
I would agree with you. When I first formulated this question, my question was in regards to Eddie. And I feel like one of the things that this show does well is it keeps various plot lines going, okay? And because all of our main cast people are split up, the Eddie versus Jason is I think, you know, they're foils of one another, because if you don't villainize Eddie, you don't really need Jason, because that's really his main goal, is villainizing, you know, making the Hellfire Club, claiming it's a cult, and, you know, demonizing this game that these kids play, which really had nothing to do with what was going on. But my question is, if you were to eliminate both of them, I feel like the plot could have continued if you were to eliminate Eddie and Jason, because they're going against each other. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little ambivalent on those two characters. Of course, when we started the show, you told me that Eddie was your favorite character.
Yeah, he was, man.
While I'm over here thinking, was Eddie's character even necessary? Yeah. I don't know. I may have to rewatch season 4 again. I feel like his character showed growth. He wasn't just this, you know, nerdy guy leading a group of nerds. I feel like when he became part of the group and understood what was going on, his character had more purpose. But I feel like, especially in the beginning, those two characters were just, you know, positive and negative, essentially, going against each other. And if you put positive and negative together, in my mind, my scientific mind says it's neutral. Yeah. So you could have eliminated them and had the same result. But I get the introduction of the character. I based on the plot points that they needed to hit, I see why they're there. Argyle, you made a great point that he balanced out Jonathan, who was a sad sack for the whole season. I mean, literally the whole season. Jonathan was depressing. At the same time, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like Jonathan, Will, 11, and Mike could have carried it without Argyle. But they needed a car. They told us in the previous season that Jonathan's car was dead, so they needed a car. So that's why Argyle was there.
Yeah, and he did rescue them from the assault.
The government raid. You're right. He was Johnny on the spot.
So he had his moments, you know. True. He was much more necessary than Jason was. I would say that.
Okay, and I would agree with you on that.
All right, man. What would you rate this season?
I'm gonna give this season an 8. I enjoyed it. Couple of things here and there, but beyond that, I enjoyed the season. It's got me primed for season 5, and I'm ready to see what's gonna happen in this finale in Hawkins, Indiana.
Yeah, man. I was at 8.5, so he's right there. All right, family. So, real quick before we end this podcast episode, we all want to take a moment and review, check out this season 5, Stranger Things. So,
sneak
first
peek.
5 minutes. Yeah, it's a sneak peek. It's the first 5 minutes of Stranger Things. I haven't watched it yet. JP watched it. He suggested this, so I know it's gonna be dope. I'm excited, man. I kind of wanted to wait until next week, because it is coming out next week, I think.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Day before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So 1 week from today, we will be live after the show.
Yep.
Okay? Yep. And I don't know how many episodes, so we're gonna do a couple of episodes, but we'll be live. Gonna see y'all after the premiere.
Yeah, man. All right, man. So let's check out this first 5 minutes of Stranger Things. We locked in. Here we go, man. Let's see. Make sure I got it the right one.
Audio. Okay, I can hear.
So, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
At long last, we can begin.
Yeah.
You and I, we are going to do such beautiful things together, William. Such beautiful things.
Man. Let's see. Man. So we know from that this was right before they found Will in that library. Um, when at the end of season 1, Joyce and Hopper found him inside the library, hooked up to whatever that was, and they kind of broke him free. So we know that's somewhere around this. What's funny is the CG face, the young face thing that they did to Will. They did it to L, but it looked better on L than it did on. It looks better, but it's still dope. It's still dope. I'm not gonna say it's not dope, but you can tell a lot more what they did with his face than L. You can tell with L, but it's not as bad. That looks like they're still working on it.
True, I agree.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, and this is just coming to me because of what you just said, because I didn't remember that. They found Will in the library,
Mm-hmm.
where the four gates met. Isn't that right at the library?
Yeah, or like
in
City
the end
Hall,
of season 4?
So yeah.
Because that's the same building where you see like a part of it is destroyed, but the most of the building is still there. That's the same building.
Yeah.
It looks like it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I hadn't made that connection until you just said that, because he was in Castle Byers, but when they found him, he wasn't in Castle Byers.
Yeah.
He was found in the library.
Yeah.
And that is the same.
Throw up.
True.
Yeah.
And so that's the same place where all 4 of the gates came together.
Yeah, it looked like it.
So to take that a step further, we see Vecna getting his victims from his childhood home. But it looks like this place is actually where his headquarters is, in that library.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because at first we thought it was the home. We thought it was the Krill house, but it might be the library. You know?
I think it's the library. Because then that would make sense. That's why all of the 4 gates come to the library.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And the only time we see him in his house is when he's taking a victim.
Yeah.
Man, season 5 is going to be good.
Yeah, season 5 is going to be good, man. We hope that y'all watch it with us, man. And when we go live next week, y'all could tune in and check it out, because it's exciting, man. This is one of the best series I've seen in a long time, man. And the fact that they ended it on this note is very well done. It seems like they're going to go out on a high point and they're not going to beat it like a dead horse. And they're going to do right by it. And it's going to be nice and sweet. Every episode is like a movie, I've been hearing. So they're going to be pretty lengthy. But the thing that I appreciate about the Stranger Things episodes, it has great pacing. There's not a lot of extra information or extra stuff in there. Like what's in there is what needs to be in there to get the story going. And that's something that I really love about what the Duffer Brothers do with Stranger Things, man. It's really dope. Yep, man. So next week, we're going to be right back here going live, talking about season 5, maybe the first 2 episodes, maybe the first episode, whatever. We haven't really discussed that, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah, man. So if y'all are watching Stranger Things, let us know what was your favorite parts, what was your favorite season, all of that good stuff, man. Put it in the comments. We'll be sure to check it out. Anything else, JP?
No, I would just add that if you enjoyed this, please share it, rate it, and if you're listening on any one of the major podcast platforms, all of these, although we do them in video format for YouTube, videos are on social media, on Facebook as well. Working on getting on TikTok, but the audio versions of all of these are also available on Spotify, on on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, on Amazon Music. You can find us in all of those places. Please, if you're listening on one of those, we want you to subscribe through those. It doesn't cost you anything. Just follow us, and you'll get a notification every time a new video comes out. A new podcast on the audio side comes out. So we appreciate y'all so much.
Yeah, man. Check us out on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, The Cinnamon Goodness Podcast on Facebook. Be sure to check us out, man. Appreciate y'all for watching, man. You have a light that is out of this world. Let it shine to be the richness that this world deserves. Much love, family. Be enriched.
Peace.